They try to say last season that we bottled it. You know what? Fair play, we did. This season, Liverpool, they bottled it.
12 months away, we are that far away from coming champions.
Listen, everyone's going to say about the 115 charges, but at the end of the day, they're better than us on the pitch. So what does it matter what they do off the pitch financially?
That's the goddamn standard, like it or lump it. You can complain about it all you want. And in fact, I think we heard too much about the whole 97 points thing. It is what it is.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Football Trending, the football show from FootballJOE. Today I'm joined by the very special guest Ibby.
Thank you.
And the very special guest Ben. But once again, I'd just like to remind you that if you do hate what FootballJOE is doing, just message this man here. Just message him and he'll take it all on the chin. He's got large shoulders. And he's ready.
I said it on the first.
Water off a duck's back. Now look, we don't have any Arsenal fans on the panel today. We don't have any Man City fans on the panel today. They are behind the camera, the little slugs. But what I will say,
totally objective panel.
Yeah. Look, completely objective. But, you know, they did lose the title, got so close, so bloody close, and we're all really, we feel for them, don't we?
Bottled it.
Thank you.
We were rooting for them.
I was really rooting for them. Ibby's been saying all season this is what chasing Man City feels like.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Ben's been talking about the Championship. So, to mark the end of the season and the end of the Premier League, we went down to the Emirates. Well, Ibby went down to the Emirates to talk to Arsenal fans about how do you close that gap on Man City? How do you catch them? And really, how do you make up that ground? It's not easy. Lots of teams have tried and not many have succeeded.
How do Arsenal catch Man City?
Well, we need to make some decent signings, man.
We went all the way. We took them all the way. We bottled it last year. This year, we're 100% improvement.
Not just years, I think we're talking about months now, bro. 12 months away, I think we are that far away from coming champions. Today, it could have been there for the taking. It's just, for me, Man City are just very, very strong.
Progress of this team, look at the legs on this team. Look at the legs on some of the spine of that City team. Yeah. I think we're in the ascendancy. One or two additions. I think we're better. We're a better team next year.
Pep, the difference in this?
No, bollocks.
Back in the day, we weren't contesting anything. Our back line was a joke, absolute joke. And he slowly but surely weeded out all of the weak people, all of the people that were costing us, and has brought us to where we are now. Like, we came second to City, and City are world class.
115 charges, don't forget that. When Pep goes, we're here. We're here.
Walked into a team that is already pretty much there. Yeah. Arteta walked into a team that was nothing.
Every year we're getting better. We've got the third youngest team in the league. Yeah, what's going to stop us next year? We're going for it, mate.
Listen, everyone's going to say about the 115 charges, but at the end of the day, they're better than us on the pitch. So what does it matter what they do off the pitch financially?
You give me negative progress and trophies, I don't care, I'll take it. The history books, the honours board doesn't remember the progress, it just remembers the trophies. And even if, for example, your team might not be as good, let's say, for example, statistically, goals scored, goals conceded, there's a part of football, the mental part of football, that doesn't get measured. You can't measure it, but managing the last 9-10 games of a season, Man City, you've just done 27 out of 27 points, yeah? And that part is that mental progress is what we've done this year, just not enough.
So there we are. There's a lot of mention of the charges. I don't think that really answers the question of how Arsenal get closer to Man City.
Arsenal fans need to concentrate. They need to concentrate on, they're saying we took them to the very end. Yeah. You still didn't win anything.
Look, but they're saying, look, there's progress on last season, right? And you have to give them that. There is progress on last season. It was 5 points last season. It's 2 points this season. What they have done is find that consistency in the back end of the season that Man City always find. Arsenal managed to do it. It was 1 week for me where the season went awry for them. It was the Bayern Munich game, and then it was the Aston Villa game. He's laughing. Where Bayern Munich, obviously very draining. You're at home. You want to win that game, so you press a bit further. You try a bit harder, perhaps. I don't know, hard to say, but then the knock-on of that was in the Villa game at the weekend. They looked knackered. And they get turned over. After about 60th minute, they run out of ideas. Should have won it in the first half. Make no mistake, they should have won it in the first half. Get turned over. And then that's all that City need. And that's kind of, it is heartbreaking that, I mean, not for me as a Tottenham fan, but it is heartbreaking that you can be that good, you can be that consistent, and yet there is a team doing it more consistently. I also think people love to underplay Pep Guardiola. Like, he came in and he turned over a pretty rubbish squad. Still good. Arsenal's was worse. I will give you that. But look, it took Arteta a lot longer. Didn't Pep by his second or third year. Anyway, so look, the question was, how do Arsenal get closer to Man City? I don't think it was really answered there by a lot of people, but a lot of people were just out for a good time. A good time, you know. The vibe looked good. So I want to ask you, how do Arsenal get closer to Man City?
Well, to an extent, they can't really get too much closer.
Yeah,
like 2 points in it is just. Yeah, they are as close as they can be without winning it. So I think overall, the way they overtake City is, and I think the point is valid about like an ageing City squad. If City don't improve this year, the other point that was made was like they trust Arteta and Edu to get it right because they have got a proven track record.
100%.
Everyone they've brought. Overall, they've got rid of players at the exact right time.
No, there's definitely been a good sell on.
And brought in really, really good players that fit a really specific role within their team. They potentially had misses where they haven't brought players in. Like you could argue, like they were obviously willing to spend a load of money on Mudryk. Yeah. And then didn't spend any money on any winger post Trossard. But it was like he came in on one side, but actually I think they needed a bit more cover generally in where it's like almost like a Foden where Odegaard will only ever play in the 10 or in the 8. City have got a few players where they just will rotate. Silva, Foden, I mean Grealish and Doku are out on the left on their own, but it's like actually I just think they're pretty much there. I think they just need to continue the trajectory. There's probably the positions that fans identify like up front. I think, and it's just cover. Like if you look at City's defense, it's so stacked.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like that Villa game, because they were so knackered from the Bayern game. Yeah. If they had another solid centre back or another solid centre mid that could just slot in and do the job, they could have won that game because they're fresh. And that's honestly what I think the difference is just having fresh legs. When you do have a Champions League,
that's the biggest problem for any team, right? Because what player wants to come in and play backup?
Yeah.
And so where City can go, well, we rotate. We're going to be in every competition. We're going to rotate, and you're going to win. You're probably going to win a trophy. That is what the selling point is for Man City. Whereas it's harder to sell that dream to a right back who's good enough to play for Arsenal, Arsenal, Manchester United, Chelsea, any team, good enough. But is also being told, well, you are going to play maybe second fiddle to this player. And if you don't tell them that, and then they don't play, then you're creating a negative atmosphere in the club. It's a really hard thing to do is to add that depth. For Arsenal, this season, one of the things that has meant that they've been able to hit that standard is keeping that back line as consistent as possible. Whereas you saw what happened to other teams around them in the table. Well, Man City are like, they're almost in a different conversation because they can bring so many players in now. But having that back two specifically, and Ben White to an extent, I know they chopped and changed Kivior, Zinchenko, but having that three with Raya just made them so good. And bringing in Rice as well, and that as like a core. If you say like that's your core, you've rebuilt it. And every team needs that. And not losing Saliba like they did at the end of last season, Gabriel stepping up and being even better this season. If they lose one of them next season to an injury for even a month, is that going to wobble the squad? Yeah. But look, one of the big points that did come up was Arsenal need a striker. People thought it was going to be Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz has done that to a certain extent. He's definitely been brilliant in the back end of this season. But an out-and-out number 9 is apparently what they need. So we went out to ask, who is that? Who is that person?
Which positions do you ask them to improve on? Is there a specific player or players you're after?
We need number 9. They said Tony. I don't think Tony
would take Tony, and I think Tony would make us champions. He would be the difference. He would be the difference.
I think Isak would be a good signing for us. He's got some goals in him.
Look, I trust Edu and Arteta, Mikel Arteta. They've got their plans in place. We'll see.
I'll tell you what we do, right? Mbappe's out of contract. We give him £1 million a week over 3 years. That's 150 million. It's the same as buying a player for 150 million. That's what we've got to do.
You could be talking Sesko, Osimhen, but also don't forget
Premier League. Take it from the Premier League. Look, like I would happily take Tony. I would happily take Watkins.
I'm not taking Tony. I'm not taking Tony. No way.
I'd happily take either of them because at least they've actually proven themselves in. And no. But look, think about this, right? You got Odegaard, you got Rice, you got Trossard, you got people, even White, feeding the ball in. Yeah. We need that person at the top. Tony and Watkins are the people who thrive off that sort of thing.
We need to get a clinical goal scorer. Yeah, we're that close, honestly.
There you go. There's some big calls. Osimhen,
Isak is the other one.
Isak. Look, the interesting thing is I think Arsenal will have looked at all these players last season. So for whatever reason, they didn't go for Osimhen. They didn't go for Tony. They didn't go. They probably knew some. There's probably rumblings around Tony about the potential charges. When Isak was initially on the cards for Arsenal, I know a lot of Arsenal fans weren't too impressed with his scoring record, which admittedly wasn't brilliant before he moved to Newcastle. So how about you guys then? What's the striker for you that you, because that's clearly the position that Arsenal fans want, right?
Yeah.
Probably a defender who can play left, a bit like what
Joe
Guardiola
Gomez.
has gone in. Well, yeah, exactly.
Play
A
across the
player
back
who can
line.
play across the back line, and really that's what a lot of teams are looking for now.
Yeah.
You don't want those specialist roles are becoming rarer and rarer and rarer. So who is it? Who is it?
I think Tony is the perfect player for Arsenal, but my only thing with Tony is I personally wouldn't want him at Liverpool just because of the way he treated Brentford.
Sure.
And the culture Arteta's built at Arsenal is so wholesome and so together that when he does have a season with 30, 40 goals and Bayern Munich or Real Madrid come in for him, I wouldn't want him to throw a tantrum again. That's my only thing with Tony. I think Isak is another great shout, but his price is going to be sky high right now. So it actually does leave like a question, like who could do that? I think Osimhen is a good shout, but do Arsenal need someone that's not played in the Prem? I think Pedro Neto Benzed is a good shout.
But again, you're talking about like more of like an inside forward.
Yeah, they need like an out and out striker.
Yeah.
I think with an out and out striker this year, with a Tony or an Isak, they would have won the league. Because it's like the amount of times in the first 20 minutes, Arsenal miss 4 or 5 good chances. Like Villa was one. Even yesterday, they had a fair few chances. So yeah, I think if Arsenal had a striker this year, they win the league.
Basically, everyone's my thing with this question, just generally across football, is like,
yeah, I know what you're gonna say.
17 out of 20 teams in the Premier League are saying the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Especially about a striker.
Arsenal in the Champions League. Arsenal will have. Their budgets will be much higher than they were previously. There will be players that Arsenal can also get rid of to balance those books. I'm looking at someone like who was Reece Nelson was mentioned.
Yeah,
Emil Smith Rowe
Probably
has to be
money.
looking at his career now and going, am I going to get the time I need to progress as a footballer?
Yeah.
Like, it's a great environment to be in, make no mistake, but like, is he
Can
like
only
people
do
are
it for a certain amount of time.
exactly.
As well.
And like his he was playing in the sort of 10 and then more out left. He's not getting brought on. Trossard's getting brought on. He's not getting the minutes that he needs. So there will be players to make funds. So were you saying that? But Arsenal are, it hurts me to say, but Arsenal are one of the most
probably the single most
exciting
attractive
teams
place
to go to. Like you're in central London. The environment. A lot of people have spoken about the environment. Very good at the moment. Arteta is there is a clear progression.
Yeah.
You're 2 points off winning the Premier League. Who knows what would happen in the Champions League? But you go toe to toe with Bayern in the Champions League. I think a striker is.
I think it's on the cards for them for sure. I just think it's the hardest position to get
100%.
right. It's like there was a fan there that talked about like risk. There is with a striker, you can sign the most like obvious person who's bagged goals for fun somewhere else.
That's Tony for me,
and it might not work.
Yeah,
it might
Darwin
not
Núñez
click.
is.
So much is about confidence. Like I think Torres, great example.
Yeah.
Absolutely score goals for fun at Liverpool, and you're like Chelsea just go, well, we just take that and we'll put it in our team. Does not click. I think Isak's a great shout because I think he would ride the Arsenal wave as well as anyone.
I really like Isak, and I think I genuinely agree that I think he'd be a brilliant signing for Arsenal. But I'm saying like that is going to cost you what, 80 million quid?
Yeah,
90
close
million
to 100
quid?
million.
Like depending on how desperate Newcastle are to balance the books, it's going to be hard to say. They snuck into the European places yesterday, which obviously I think helps in some ways. But for me, if you're looking to guarantee goals, there is only one striker that's on the list, Ivan Toney, who has consistently scored and assisted in the Premier League. He adds the physicality at the top end of the pitch that they sometimes lack. He adds something else at corners, which we already know how big they've been for them this season. If you add another player that can actively be a threat in corner situations, and I don't think he's going to break the bank like he was potentially last season. That potential issue around attitude that you were talking about earlier, I actually think you need a striker to have that attitude, and it's just about managing that attitude. But yeah, look, it will take them. If they manage to make that sign, it will take them closer to Man City, and a team that knows a lot about getting close to Man City and not winning. Your boys, Liverpool. So we went to ask Arsenal fans after coming so close yesterday, do they now understand the pain of Liverpool and being that close to Man City?
Do you sympathise with Liverpool fans now, what they've been through, and how big Man City is, how hard?
Mate, you know what? Man City are not fair, bruv. They've got some charges on them, so they need... You know what I'm saying, bruv?
Oh, definitely, 100%. The Invincibles, right, went 26 games, you know, and they won the championship. We won 28, and we still can't be champion.
I sympathise then, man. They did 92 as well. They did 92, they did 97. We've just done 89, if I'm not mistaken. All it does, it tells us that's the goddamn standard, like it or lump it. You can complain about it all you want. And in fact, I think we heard too much about the whole 97 points thing. It is what it is. People will say, like, with the Invincibles, oh, they only got 90 points and this team got this points, that means they're better. No, it doesn't. It's about how you handle the league.
I would say I recognise the challenge. I think the difference is you look at the spine of this team, the youth that's coming through, right? A few obvious additions. Right, I think we're in a better place to push on past Liverpool.
Do you see this season, Liverpool bottled it. They tried to say last season that we bottled it. You know what? Fair play, we did. But this season, Liverpool, they bottled it, yeah?
At the time, yeah, when Liverpool got 97 points, yeah, I didn't really appreciate what they'd done, yeah. But I do fair play, like, and we've actually been in that situation now. It's deep.
I sympathise for Liverpool fully, because how do you go the season and lose one game and get all those points and not win the league? I don't know, but again,
someone was better than you. Someone was better.
Someone was
that's
better
how, that's how it goes. Someone was better.
There you go. Just need to manage the league better.
Yeah. Just win more games, draw and lose and draw less games.
Oh, so you're saying more points?
Yeah.
Wins you the league.
Wins the league.
Yeah. I do think there's the comparison between seasons is a weird thing to do, because I think each Premier League season is a different beast in terms of the competitiveness between teams. And I think this year, the reason that, if you look at Liverpool, Arsenal and City as its own like mini league, they've taken, well, Arsenal's taken points off City. I can't remember the results between the other two, but it's like, but you've also had three really weak teams at the bottom. And then there's like Forest and Everton were poor for a lot of it. And I think it's really hard to say like, the team that got 97 points is better or worse than this Arsenal team, because there was a period in the Prem where City and Liverpool, and it might be because they were so much better, but it might be because the rest of the league was really, really quite dire that year. Like, and I also don't think you compare this era of football to like the Invincibles, and because the Invincibles, as the money at the top of it was a lot closer to the money at the bottom of it.
Sure.
And I think it's the Invincibles. I think is, bar maybe the treble, both trebles, is up there as the single most impressive season, because to not lose, but then in a unbelievably competitive league and the money wasn't as stretched out as it was.
I understand.
So I think the actual achievement is difficult to
of
compare,
course, you can't put modern.
You have to have the context of each Premier League season.
100% contextualise it. Not much sympathy for your Liverpool boys on that one.
Yeah, and it's very selfish Arsenal fans, if you ask me. It's always about them. Let's actually talk about the question that was asked. I think I agree with Ben, and I agree with the last guy. You just have to beat what's in front of you and just literally get more points. So this whole thing about, like, even as a Liverpool fan, we got 97 points and we didn't win the league. Yeah, like, we got so many points. We still didn't win the league. So it's like, it's a bit pointless to like celebrate coming second type of thing. And I feel like Arsenal fans, they're coming to a period of their will where they're going to be challenging every year. So they need to like understand that the level is set. And as the guy said, like it or lump it.
Well, yeah, and of course, and Man City almost set the level, don't they? Because whatever you're doing, they'll be like, that is used as fuel to drive them on. Whenever a team has pushed them, it's pushed them further. And it actually doesn't get spoken about from the Man City perspective that often.
Everyone's like, Liverpool the only reason City are this good. It's like, well, actually, City were sort of dragging them up as well.
City are the reason City are this good. And the reason why, it became one of the greatest sort of rivalries, and it might happen with Arsenal. You know, that's 2 years on the bounce now that Arsenal have pushed them, albeit last year not quite as close, was because Liverpool pushed them every day and Man City got better and better and better, and just Man City are as good as they are now because Liverpool have pushed them to be that good.
And I do think Pep is a huge part of that. Like, the standard he sets is so scary.
There's an underplaying, I think, even from some of the Arsenal fans in the VTs we've seen, of just how good Pep Guardiola is. And he sort of said it yesterday after the game. He was like, after winning a treble, how do you motivate a team to want to go again. And he was like, and somehow we found a way. And he's being modest there. He's like, I fucking found a way. I told them what we were doing, and we might do the double. And it'll be the first time ever that a team has won the league FA Cup double back to back. If he does it against, and Man United are the only team standing in the way. It's a great narrative to have. Talking of City, and look, the man who sort of killed the vibes yesterday, not for me personally, but for the rest of the footballing nation, Phil Foden was announced.
Sir Philip pending.
Sir Philip of Foden. He won Player of the Season at the Football Writers Awards. And I think he deserves he absolutely deserves it, right? But we went to ask Arsenal fans who should have won Player of the Season, and if Phil Foden should have won it, basically.
Foden got Player of the Season. Thoughts?
Fuck that. Fuck all that. I would say he's third. I'd say Rodri first, as their Player of the Season. Then I'd say Haaland. Then I'd say Foden. Watkins probably had a better season than him. I'd even say a couple of Arsenal players. I'd probably say Rice had a better season than him. But obviously, English PR. Listen, you know what's going to happen.
Saliba deserves that Player of the Season. Well, how many goals Arsenal conceded this season? Not many. That's down to fucking Saliba and Gabriel, but Saliba mainly.
Look, you can't take it away from him. He's a high-quality player. I'd have him at Arsenal, except for where do you fit him? But you'd make space.
He deserves it, man. I know, like, a lot of Arsenal fans are going to be coming out of here saying, you know, something different, but he's been brilliant. He deserves it. And imagine, look, you know, people talk about all the money that they've spent and stuff, and actually, do you know what? From like a purist point of view, even though I'm very disappointed today, I can really appreciate the fact that it's a homegrown boy that's doing that. You imagine if that was Saka doing that for Arsenal, getting it, it'd be nothing but love from me for him. Foden hasn't done anything wrong. He's playing for a team. He doesn't make the decisions on a financial front and everything like that. He's just dedicated himself to his craft, and he's smashed it. And that's with players like De Bruyne, Haaland, and he's one to get in the headlines. So actually, do you know what? I'm happy for him. I just wish it was Saka at Arsenal that was getting that and lifting the trophy, but fair play to Foden.
I think that overwhelmingly, the fans there sort of understand. Sort of understand.
Good shit.
And then probably hadn't seen the highlights at that point of the goal he scored after 2 minutes to sort of put everything to bed. But
I was at a barbecue had the 2 games on, and I was like, if City are going to win it, I'll sort of, hopefully it's late on and it's sort of dramatic game. Literally 2 minutes in, I was like, well, I'm just not going to be watching this game. I was just like, this is fun. I was like, this is so dull. But also, that is they are boringly dull. They've got to like Serena Williams levels of boringly good at the sport they're at.
I have to say, that becoming a signature move is quite something, isn't it? Do you know who it reminds me of? I know there's been a lot of comparisons with Wayne Rooney, but it actually reminds me of Gareth Bale. Because Gareth Bale, in his last season for Spurs, used to come in off the right and just leather it. And it would... This is for general football fans, if you've not gone and watched Gareth Bale's last season at Tottenham, go and watch his goal highlight. 2012-2013. Last season at Tottenham, go and watch his goal highlights. It's probably the best single season any player's ever had.
I've got a great story.
Go on. Because one of them was against Saints.
Saints were playing them on the last
day of the season. No, it was the last day,
And Spurs needed to win to get in the Champions
League.
We did, We were brilliant. It was Pochettino's Saints, so like we were playing some really nice stuff. Luke Shaw was marking him and doing a really good job for like 90 minutes. Did not let him come inside once. I'm in the Spurs end because I couldn't get a ticket in the away end, and I'm sitting behind the goal, and I'm literally just watching Bale come in on his left foot, and he literally drills it at me. And I
rocketed it.
Spurt, like White Hart Lane just erupts. I'm there just like head in hand. I was just like,
and that was that. That was his final.
Literally gave myself away. It was like 88 minutes. And I was just like, and then he literally knee slide right in front of me.
And to have that as a skill that he's clearly mastered. I mean, yesterday where he sort of leans on the front foot to tell James Ward-Prowse he's going one way, and then opens his body out, and then the way that he strikes through the ball now. I think someone said it on Match Today. There's so little backlift. It's like Let's see it at the Euros. Come on. I mean, having him as in the 10 at the Euros
is a cheat code.
He might have just like with that performance, like because
nailed it down.
It is in big like the Euros is basically 6 or 7 big huge games on the trot. To have done it and like proved that basically like previous years that's De Bruyne doing that.
Yeah.
Like the world beater in that team, and Foden is going. I'm him now, mate.
I'll give it a
De Bruyne had a good game.
He had a brilliant game.
But it was like actually Foden, 2 good goals, 1 great finish, and like the first goal is a joke. The touch is better than the finish in my opinion, and it's just like go and do that in Euros, mate.
Yeah,
like,
please.
it means that I think he'll play Bellingham in the 8.
Yeah.
And I think he'll put Foden in the 10 now because of that performance in the 10.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see what Southgate does because we've been too rigid in previous tournaments. And like, one thing that's interesting that City have done this year is obviously move John Stones further up to support in the middle. And England have the possibility, you can move Walker in, move Stones a bit further up to help with Rice. I'm just saying there's a way of doing it, Gareth, and I'm looking to you to make it happen for us. So look, that's all we've got time for today. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment. Tell us how wrong we got it. I'm sure Jen will be in the comments moaning about Arsenal being the best team ever. Catching strays. We'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Goodbye.